Hi, everyone. I'm Alicianne, and I'm really excited to be here. One, I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn. I've always been on it. NewsCred and LinkedIn are great partners together. And also, as a marketer, very selfishly, LinkedIn Sponsor Stories happens to be one of our highest performing channels. So sometimes I think that I should be a salesperson for LinkedIn because it's such an awesome publishing platform. So today, I'm going to talk about really content marketing strategies and what you guys need to know to be really effective. So we're going to go through three major overarching themes. The first is the content marketing imperative. So how our marketing ecosystem has changed and why content really needs to be at the heart of all of your marketing strategies. The second topic is what exactly you need to know, really tactical insights to make content marketing a reality for your business. And then third, who's doing it right? Like who's inspiring me and things that you can learn day to day, then this will lead into the workshop later on. So the first point is, what is marketing? When we think of marketing, we think of it as a promotion, a pitch. We think about selling a product. At school, we learn the 4 Ps of marketing: product, promotion, place, price. And so we talk about these things all the time, and we associate that with marketing. And we support this myth by bombarding our audience with messages that they absolutely just don't want. So every single day, we might be bombarded with 5,000 marketing messages a day. That's a crazy number. But that actually just doesn't work. We don't like getting marketed to. 86% of people skip TV ads. 44% of people never open direct mail. 90% of emails are never even opened. The fact is that marketing has a marketing problem, and we actually don't like to be marketed to. Oh. Sorry, I think a slide just skipped. Oh. Anyways, missed a slide, but I think I'll just fill it in anyways. So at NewsCred, we really believe that great marketing is about great storytelling. We think that you need to move away from the traditional idea of what marketing is, from banner ads and TV ads, and talk about great storytelling. At the end of the day, it's about providing value to your audience, not talking about what you do and how you do it, but about why you do it. And how can we create content and stories that are really valuable to our end audience and inspire them, educate them, help them live a better life. And we're really seeing 3 major trends that have rooted this philosophy at NewsCred. So great marketing is great storytelling truly is our mission at our company. And there's 3 overarching digital trends from a macro level that are shaping and influencing this strategy. The first is that content is created, consumed, and shared at a speed and scale never seen before. So our world today is social, it's mobile, and it's global. Every single day, 500 million tweets are posted. 1.8 billion photos are uploaded and shared. That is a kind of scale that we've never even seen before, and it did not exist 2 years ago. When I was researching this presentation, I read a stat that 400 million Snapchats are shared every day. I mean, that's just crazy. I'm not on Snapchat. I'm not sure how many of you are, but that's a lot of selfies that are getting taken and shared every single day. And the last stat is that we're really mobile. 40% of LinkedIn visits happen on a phone. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that we're consuming and sharing content every single day, 24/7, across tons of different platforms and devices. And it's really influencing our life at every single moment. The second big digital trend is that brands are acquiring massive audiences across social. So Coca-Cola, for example, has 76 million followers on Facebook. That's a lot of people, and that's really different than what Coca-Cola used to have. So 76 million people are engaged in their feed, and Coca-Cola has direct access to speak to them. That's a really big number. And that's showing that there's been a huge shift in publisher and brands and that entire relationship. So even just a few years ago in 2010, for example, we relied on publishers to get our message heard. So through traditional advertising, whether that was TV or print. We went to the NewYorkTimes.com every day to get our news. We turned on CNN. Today, we consume and get our information through feeds and through the social stream. So you open up your LinkedIn app every day and get your news. You go to Facebook, you go to Twitter. That kind of content consumption means that it's happening in real time at every minute of the day. And it also means that brands, there's been a shift in power. Brands actually have it's much more democratized in terms of brands and publishers. Brands have audiences and attention, and now their biggest challenge is figuring out what to say to keep those people really engaged. The third point is that marketers are more accountable for business growth than ever before. 65% of purchasing decisions happen before a consumer ever reaches a salesperson. And this is pretty huge. Marketers are not responsible for measuring likes and shares anymore. Marketers and you guys are responsible for getting people hired. And you need to be able to connect all of those brand awareness activities at the top of the funnel to the actual leads that you're driving, to nurturing them, to the actual sale that you're hitting. And that sale for you guys is actually getting somebody in the door and having happy employees. So we really need to think about marketing not just as a cost center, but really as a profit center for building our businesses. And what this means is that to get ahead, you need to really transform the way that you communicate. So we're moving away from traditional advertising and marketing messages and towards stories that really inspire and help to add value to our audience's lives. If 67% of companies with an active blog report more leads, that really means something and means that we need to start investing in content. But how do you do that? And that's really the challenge today. It means that in order to get ahead, you need to create the highest quality content. And we heard this in the HP presentation earlier. Quality trumps quantity. So the highest quality content you possibly can, and you need to create that with speed and scale. And that really aligns with this digital ecosystem and the shifts that are happening today. And so that's where NewsCred comes in. I'm not sure how many of you guys know about our company, but NewsCred is a content marketing platform, and we provide an end-to-end solution, both the software and the content that you need to really simplify and scale your entire content marketing strategy. So software to make workflow easy and create hyper-local content on a global scale, and as well as content to really inspire your audience and make that happen quickly. We work with a ton of different brands, so Pepsi, Procter & Gamble, Yahoo, Dell, Microsoft, and we've learned a lot over the past 3 years. A lot of these brands are just thinking about how to create content and how to fuel their social feeds with quality content. And it's not been an easy journey for a lot of these brands, but we've learned a few really tactical takeaways that I think will be important for you guys as you're starting to think about the basic content strategy and how it applies to recruiting. The first point is that you really need to put your people first and tell the story of why. So the people and your culture are the heart of your brand, as you guys know, obviously. But it's also a two-way street. So if your employees that are talking about your brand internally at your company, and they're the voice of your company. And then on the other side, you have all of your prospects out there who can potentially be nurtured leads and be potential employees. And so we need to really think, what are our audience's needs and ambitions? What keeps them up at night? What are they hopeful for? What do they want in their lives? And how can we help meet those needs? That's the real pinpoint problem that you guys need to be able to address when you're developing that foundation content strategy. And so from this LinkedIn research, what is important to candidates when considering a job? Excellent compensation and benefits, good work-life balance, a culture that fits my personality. So if these are the needs of your potential consumers, how do you align that with your own brand values and your marketing objectives to create a content strategy that really speaks to that? Creating content that addresses those specific pain points. The second point is that it's really helpful to find the right combination of content. So when I first started at NewsCred, I was just a marketing team of one. I had no idea how to build a brand newsroom. I mean, the idea of creating more than one blog post a week absolutely terrified me, and I'm in the content marketing business, so that was definitely a problem. So over the last 3 years, I really developed and honed the skill of content marketing, and I take this three-pronged approach because you guys don't have huge journalism teams creating content for you. Getting your employees to create content is really, really difficult too. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of times that I had to ask people to please write a blog post about what it's like to be an engineer at NewsCred. It's hard, but the fact is that you can create a scalable strategy by thinking about the rule of thirds. So we first take licensed content, and for those of you who don't know what licensing content is, we license content from 4,500 different publishers, from the New York Times to TechCrunch to Gawker to Billboard magazine, and all of this content is around topics that our audiences care about and fulfills a need for them. that content is really scalable because when you're licensing it, you're able to just push that out and have the legal right across any of your social channels, and all of that traffic drives back to you. It gives you the high volume of content, the quality and the cadence that is really going to be associated with a reputable brand. The second aspect of it is original content. So NewsCred offers a freelance network of over 200 really high quality expert journalists. And these journalists can create content for you. So we develop a brief together and a content strategy. We map out our content calendar together, and then these journalists are creating content, every day. Today, at NewsCred, we create between 3 to 4 blog posts a day, tweeting out about 15 to 17 times a day too. So that's a lot of content that's possible if you just think about how you can potentially outsource it and find that right combination. And then lastly, it's social. And I think for recruiting brands, social means 2 things. It means the content that your community is creating for you outside of your brand. So all those Instagrams, I saw tons of LinkedIn selfies today. All of that content, that is social content that your community is creating on your behalf. And that voice is so incredibly powerful for your brand. But then you also have social content, which is your employees. And so leveraging your employee thought leadership, their perspective, their stories, their failures, their mistakes, their hopes, that is really, really great to be able to share. So again, that two-way street. But if you're constantly asking your employees to write blog posts and that's your only content strategy, it's going to be really difficult to scale and to create content in real time, like our digital ecosystem demands. The next point, and I think this is probably one of the most important points, is connecting content to conversions. So if you think about the funnel, and we talked about this in the presentation before, you start with brand awareness. How are you driving awareness? One of the best ways to do this is by creating a culture code presentation on SlideShare. I'll give you one great example of how that works. But this is top of the funnel people where you're just trying to get your brand out there. So really visual, employee posts and thought leaderships. It could be fun, creative ideas. All of your social content, that micro content, is brand awareness content. Culture code SlideShares is another. The next is evaluation. So they're trying to figure out, okay, why should I even work for you? What makes your company special? And so there you want to align your content strategy with your brand values, your marketing goals, and what your audiences really need. So again, creating blog posts aligned to your culture, a day in the life of an employee, what it was like for me as a first day as an employee. We have a new person starting at NewsCred on Monday, and she's going to do an Instagram journey of what it's like to have a first day at NewsCred. Things like that can help to showcase what it's like to work for you and why you guys are really special. The next part is purchasing decisions. So this is a traditional sales marketing funnel, but it's very, very applicable to you guys. So when people are making that late stage decision, all right, should I go with X company or Y company? You need to get them over the hump. And those kinds of content could be, employee testimonials. It could be employee case studies. It could be talking about the vision and the mission of your company. Where do you see your company going 2 or 3 years from now? Can you make that feel very human and personal so that they feel like they're going to come along the journey with you? And then lastly, it's retention. So your employees today, they're your best marketing asset, and that's who you really need to leverage. A lot of that retention means helping to inspire them in terms of their career ambitions and their career growth at your company. You don't want them just staying at your company for a year. You want them to see the potential in their career for 5 to 10 years from now, and that really makes your brand incredibly sticky and creates that loyal following. The last point is that build an audience through a smart distribution strategy across channels. So not every kind of content is right for every single channel. LinkedIn content, is much different than Instagram or Pinterest or Facebook. So be smart about the kinds of content you're posting to your different channels, and then leverage a 2-pronged strategy. First, organic amplification. This is free social promotion across these channels, and then amplified. One of the best tricks that I've learned from GE's marketing, and they're really, really known for their social marketing, is that if they see a slight uptick on a post, suddenly a Facebook post has 100 likes in a matter of minutes, amplify that. Put a little bit of spend on it, a couple of $100s. It doesn't need to be a lot, and let that go. And that will really, really gain traction, and it's based in data. You know that it's already doing a little bit well. Amplify that to the millions of followers. I think that would be an amazing strategy for HP, for example. Okay, so who's doing it right? The first is Netflix. I would imagine that most of you in this room are very familiar with this case study, but Netflix created a culture code slide share all about what it means to work at Netflix. And they took a stand, and I think what's really interesting here is that they have an incredible point of view and perspective that not everybody is going to agree with. So you either are right to work at Netflix or you're not, and that's great. So here, one slide say, we're a team, not a family. We're like a pro sports team, not a kids recreational team. Netflix leaders hire, develop, and cut smartly. So we have stars in every position. Basically what they say, and this goes on in later slides, is that if you're not an A+ star, they're gonna fire you and give you a great severance package because they don't want to nurture B players. They only want A players on their team. And that's amazing. I mean, a lot of companies say, like, you're family if you work here, and they try to make it feel really warm and fuzzy. Netflix is like, no, we're an A-list sports team, and you either work here or you get out. But this SlideShare has about 8 million followers, and it's become really a gold standard of basically culture codes today, and why having a point of view and a perspective is so incredibly important. The next example is Warby Parker. And what I really like about this idea is that they really bring you along the journey. So Warby Parker, I don't think is very old. They're about 4 years old or so. And they're a sunglass company that's really marrying content, commerce, and community. They created an annual report that was like a day in the life of every single day last year. So one interesting moment from every single day. And one of the moments that they had, they said, today it was discovered that half the inventory of frames for a new collection was delivered to the wrong address. They shipped them across the street from where the frames were supposed to go. And then there's I think there's a small little statement about how they were laughing and crying about how awful this was. And what I think is really great is that they're really humanizing their brand. They're sharing their mistakes, and they're actually being funny about it. And they're getting you to feel like you want to root for Warby Parker and you want to see them succeed. And so I think that's a really good point when it comes to content. Tell your personal story and include the mistakes and the failures in there so that your brand is really loved and people are rooting for your success. The next is Etsy. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Code as Craft, their engineering blog, but they've gained an incredible competitive edge in attracting engineering talent through this blog. So Etsy's in a unique position. So they're based in Brooklyn, I believe. And anybody who has a tech company in New York knows that it's insane to hire engineering talent. You have to compete against Google, Facebook, Twitter, every single massive company that's huge recruiting budgets, salary budgets, stock options, things like that. And Etsy was like, okay, how are we going to differentiate ourselves? Because we can't compete against Google. It's just way too hard. They created this blog where they have their engineers write, and their engineers actually join Etsy because they want to write and showcase their stories as being on the engineering team there. And they write all the time. They talk about the process of building. They talk about their Scrum system, their Agile process, tons of different tech stuff. And that really relates to other engineers out there. This Code as Craft is probably one of the gold standards in the engineering industry of people who are doing it really right. And all the engineers at NewsCred, for example, read this blog. The next is NewsCred. And so we really take a stand on building a community. We never like to talk about really our products and services in our thought leadership. We believe, again, that great marketing is about great storytelling. So if we can educate our community on content marketing, how to be a better marketer, how to create content in a simple and easy way, then we think that eventually we'll succeed. And this goes in two ways. It means that we're going to not only close more deals, but we also believe that we're going to hire and attract the best talent who, one, believe in our mission, and two, are really excited about the industry. Because as you know, content marketing is a very new industry, only a couple of years old. And so people are just trying to get on this bandwagon and figure it all out. So just lastly, just something to take away. Put your people first and tell the story of why. Not the what and how, but the why, and how you can add value to their lives. Next, create content at scale. And remember the rule of thirds. This is licensed content, original content, and then social content, UGC and employee-driven content. Next, connect content to conversions. Track data against the recruiting funnel. And be obsessive about it. Try to get beyond likes and shares and get to actual hires and being able to measure that through the process. Nurturing your employees and your talent is incredibly important via social, via email. Getting software is really important, whether it's a content marketing software and a marketing automation software. Treat data as your best asset. Then, without distribution, you have no audience. You can create a blog and invest a lot in it, but if you can't get that content out there, then it's completely useless. So think about your distribution strategy as much as you do about your content strategy. And then lastly, let technology do the heavy lifting and invest in software. So technology today can really help you transform your marketing. I mean, you don't need to necessarily build out an entire newsroom like CNN to get content marketing started. You can have software that helps manage the entire workflow process, and then you can have content that helps you scale in a really easy way.